Welcome back to the 12 Days of Wolfmas. This is day number 4, and we're up $4,441 through the first 3 episodes. Tonight's vlog comes from Manhattan, New York. Fun fact, I've never been to the city of Manhattan, and I decided to make a trip out there a few weeks ago when I checked out all the sites like Times Square, the Plaza Hotel. I even went to Kat's Deli to get a pastrami sandwich. I checked out the Rockettes and biked around Central Park. But enough of that, you guys came for the poker, and luckily for you, I had a subscriber named Mateen who invited me to this massive 5-bedroom flat, which if you guys are familiar with the New York area is just way too much space, so you know it's going to be a fun game. It's Sandy's game. It's 2-5, 200 to match the stack. I'm in for $1,500. Alright, very first hand of the night, I look down at pocket sixes from the straddle. There's a raise to 30 and 3 callers over to myself, so I toss in the additional 20 bucks, and we're going off to a flop which starts with a bang. It comes 6, 4, 4, bang, we flop a boat. Wolfmas is going great so far. A lot of the very first hands were winning massive pots, and hopefully this one is no different. I decided to start with a check here. I don't want to lead out. I'd rather go for a check call or check raise. So when the opponent across the table fires out for $90 and the action folds around to me, I now have a decision. I like to go with just calling here, and the turn comes the 5 of spades. I check it over to him once again, and he checks behind here, bringing in the deuce of spades on the river. Hopefully he has the nut flush or a very good hand. I decide I want to go for a check raise as opposed to donking out into him for $200. But if you guys prefer leading out here, I also approve of that as well. Unfortunately, he checks behind, so even though we flop a boat, it seems like we might have made the minimum when he reluctantly folds his cards after seeing my sixes full. Still, $330 the very first hand of the session is a great way to start off Wolfmas number 4. We're following up a boat with now the Cowboys pocket kings. There's a raise to $15, a 3-bet to 55, and Mateen 4 bets to 175. What is life? A 4-bet in front of me. I'm in the big blind with pocket kings, the second best hand ever, and I decided to come in for a 5-bet. Looks super strong, so I don't need to go super large here. $355. The guy across the table who looks like Patrick Antonius, well, he goes by Rock. So even though he looks like one of poker's all-time legends, he would prefer to look like the WWE and Moana superstar Rock. He jams it in for $1,055, and Mateen reluctantly folds his cards. Of course, I snap him off. We're gonna run it one time, but the Wolfmas luck might have run dry in this hand. He turns over pocket aces, so only 20% chance here for me to find a king or like a running straight or something in a $2,300 pot. This is not a great situation. The flop comes Jack 8-8. The dealer is like the Energizer Bunny, throwing these cards out faster than I can keep track of with my eyes. The turn comes a queen, which doesn't help us, but the river comes a king of spades. Bang, we river a boat. Look at the Rock's face. He is disgusted. No doubt pocket aces should be winning that 8 out of every 10 times, but Rock, the money you're giving me is going to the people, the great subscribers of Wolfgang Poker on YouTube. So $2,300 being pushed over my way, and I am very, very happy to report that I do not have to dip into some of those profits I've made in the first 3 sessions. This is a great time to let you guys know to hit that subscribe and like button. It's a great hand there, and another good one coming here with Queen Jack of Diamonds from the cutoff. The Rock puts a $10 straddle out there. He's trying to get some Wolfgang dollars back for himself. Mateen makes it 30. I decide to call instead of 3-betting. We're going 3 ways to the flop here, which comes 10, 6, deuce, and Mateen bets out super small here for $25. I put in the call with some backdoor draws, and the Rock folds, bringing in one of those draws. The 9 of hearts now gives me an open-ended straight draw, but it makes life a little bit difficult given the fact there's 3 hearts on the board. When Mateen slows down and checks, I think I act way too fast here and check behind. I think this is a mistake. Would he ever be doing this with a flush? I don't really think so. I think he would just continue to bet out here and get value. Additionally, if he has a very strong hand like a set of 6s or 10s, checking makes some sense. So if I bet here and get called, I can probably bomb the river and get him to fold one of those types of hands representing a flush. So checking behind here a little bit too fast, should have thought it through a bit more. In the river now comes the 4 of spades. He checks it over to me for a second time and I fire out for $90, trying to represent a one pair type of hand that beats some of his holdings. But he looks me up here pretty light and puts in the call. I needed to tell a multi-street story, not just betting the river, because he uses my favorite hand against me and $327 getting shipped over to the opponent's way. If you want to be one of the 7 lucky winners that gets flown down to Champions Club in Houston, Texas, and given a free buy-in to play with Lucas and myself, here's how to enter. I'm giving away 2 seats to channel members, so you have to hit join and become a channel member to be eligible for that. 2 people will be picked from signing up on Club WPT Gold using code Wolfgang, and the remaining the same way as last year from that sign up sheet down in the description. As always, you need to be subscribed and comment on all 12 videos to be eligible. Good luck and happy Wolfmas. Alright, let's get back to the good stuff here. A straddle to 10, raised to 30, I 3-bet it up to 100. The player puts in the call for $100 and the flop comes king, king, 10. I go small here for $40 and she puts in the call, and the turn comes the 4 of spades. Some pot control and checking for deception on the turn is incoming. I check it behind, and the river now comes the 8 of clubs. I snap call a bet from her, and we are taking down a $444 pot with 2 pair when she turns over the river bluff, ace jack of clubs. So checking behind on the turn likely made us the maximum. All right, moving right along here, there's a straddle, a limp, a raise, and now I 3-bet a beautiful hand, king 10 of clubs. Lots of possibilities on some flops. Avery calls out of the small blind here for 135, and 2 other players do as well, which means we are going 4 ways to the flop here in a $555 pot, and the action checks over to me. I decided to bet out here for 125. I think you can either bet here or you could check behind. There are 3 other opponents in the hand, and it's likely Avery's small blind range is going to have some 6s in it, and the other players are going to have hands like 7s through 10s. So I wouldn't hate a check behind here, but I decided to fire out for 125, and we get 2 players to fold, but not before the action gets around to Sandy, who doesn't want to fold his cards, but he also doesn't want to call out of position. He instead check raises to 400. Is he just representing the fact that it's harder for me to have a 6 than him, or does he actually have a very good hand? Well, in the words of Kanye West, I guess we'll never know, because I decide to fold my cards and Sandy does not show. But good news for us is we pick up pocket aces again. What a dream session for us here. Pocket aces, there's a straddle and a raise. I make it $100. And everybody folds. So just because you do step 1, which is get the best hand ever, you also have to follow through with step 2, which is get customers to call. Matt had 9-4 off, Sandy had 9-8 of diamonds, and they want to run it out, but we would have taken it down with 2 pair aces and 5s. All right, straddle to 10, I make it $30 to go with ace 8 of clubs. There's a caller from seat 1, and Mateen calls as well. We're going 3 ways to the flop, which gives me top, as Jamie Gold would say, 8-6-4 with 2 spades. In between 2 opponents, I usually start with a check. No different here, and the turn now comes the 6 of hearts. Mateen checks it over to me for a second time, and I bet out small here, targeting worse 8x, some pocket pairs like 7s and 5s. Seat 1 calls, and Mateen now check raises to 125. He likely could be doing this with a hand that contains a 5 or a 7 in it. He also might be check raising an 8 for value, or some spade flush draws as well. So I can't just be folding to 1 check raise. I put in the call, and we lose our 3-way, and the river brings in the jack of hearts. Mateen follows through on the river with a bet to 210. I think when he continues now for 210, a lot of his bluffs are just going to give up. So this is a lot more strength and value. So when he fires out for 210, I think about it for a while. I give him a bunch of credit, and then ultimately fold my cards, and it was a disaster of a fold because Mateen turns over 5 deuce. So yes, he got the bluff through against us here. I wish I could have snapped him off there and won a nice pot, but 5 deuce offsuit. All right, let's get back to work here. I raise it up to $50 over a straddle and a limp. I'm looking down at a beautiful ace king offsuit. Avery calls out of the small blind, and we pick up a few other customers, but not before the 3-bet incoming. The limp 3-bet to 275. Now, from your guys' personal experience, is a limp re-raise from an older gentleman Sorry to throw shade at seat number 3 over there, but you know, we can call him an older gentleman. A limp re-raise from an older gentleman, is that ever weakness? No, I don't think it is. So now we are in a very weird spot where we have a pretty good hand, but we're facing a limp re-raise and there's multiple people behind us. So if we just call, likely we're gonna pick up 1, 2, or maybe 3 other customers. But if we 4-bet here, we're probably gonna get it stuffed on us a bunch of the time and he just 5-bet rips. So I decide just to call. I know it's pretty unorthodox with ace king offsuit. That's what I like to do. The limp re-raise is throwing me for a loop, and sure enough, we pick up 2 extra customers, so we're going 4 ways. The flop comes pretty great for us, all things considered. It's king 7-3. I think seat 1 and seat 9 are both likely to have some 7s and pocket 3s in their range. So when seat 1 jams for 236, maybe some alarm bells going off, but I have top, and there's no way I can fold. Seat 3 folds, actions on me, and now we're in another weird spot where Avery in seat 9 to my left, he has more chips behind, so I could just rejam it here. In fact, I think that's the better play, but of course, because I've played this weird pre-flop, I continue to play it weird and just call for 236. Avery calls as well, and the turn connects the board a little bit more with the jack of hearts. There's some backdoor heart draws, and hopefully Avery or Thiago doesn't have king jack, because obviously that would be 2 pair. Avery rips it in for 594 now, so not great news. I would expect him to check in a dry side pot, meaning there's no money on the side. Everything is in the main pot, and Avery and I are currently fighting for $0. Well, I guess now we're fighting for 594 because he rips it in, and I call it off here. So we're off to a $3,046 total pot when you count the main and side, all things considered. And the river card comes the deuce of hearts. Hopefully the ace of hearts blocks a lot of his flushes, and look at that. Avery turns over king 6 of hearts, so he decides to rip it with an inferior king, but his kicker didn't matter because he had 2 hearts, so ending the night with a disaster hand. Thiago had 7-5 of diamonds, so he was looking for a 7 or a 5 on the river to crack us. We were in excellent shape. Lucas put up the stats on the table. What are our exact odds on the turn to take down a massive 3K pot for the people? Oh, okay, I mean, yeah, pretty good shape there. After being up massive early on, Avery decides to be the Grinch this Christmas and take some money out of your guys' pockets. We end up cashing out for $15.59, so when it's all said and done, only a profit of $59. At our peak, we were up to $3,300, still adding $59 to the total here. That's gonna wrap up Wolfmas number 4. There'll be another video posted tomorrow. Click on that when it hits your explore page. Good luck on the felt, you guys, and as always, I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.